From 2015 to 2019, the Warriors had this unique ability where they can take over games in just a snap. Steph and Draymond working the two-man game, Clay hitting the transition three-pointers, KD breaking down an ISO when he eventually joined, and just like that, the two-point game in the third quarter became a 20-point lead entering the fourth. The Thunder have this exact same ability instead with ball pressure and perimeter defense, and you see it with their top four guys who are all defensive caliber in Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams, Lou Dort, and Cason Wallace, all exceptional today. In the second quarter today, it felt like there was nowhere for Scottie Pippen to go or Desmond Bain, who was being guarded by Jalen Williams. Single time trying to play this pick and roll heavy offense, but the Thunder were just not getting phased by these screens by Edie, Jackson, Bagley, whoever they put in there. The Thunder were fighting over and being really strategic. And that's really the advantage of this Thunder team. They have so much speed that even when they do lose the advantage, so let's say Scottie Pippen does get a paint touch eventually, they have the help in the bigs, they have the length in Chet, Hartenstein, or both of them, whoever's on the floor. And they also have the speed in the perimeter guys like Case and Caruso, even Isaiah Joe, who can just X out quickly and make sure that whatever Memphis is getting is not going to be an open free or a rim shot. That's really the priority in this defense. And if it is an open free, you're going to be playing the analytics and giving to a bad shooter from that spot. There was like a 5-6 minute stretch where the Grizzlies just didn't even score. And obviously, there's some times where teams will go in cold droughts. Even if 5 to 6 minutes is probably on the bigger side of that. But that wasn't just a drought. That was just hell for them. They did not get one open shot, one open look. Nothing was going down. There was multiple near shot clock violations. There was multiple live dribble turnovers. They just could not find a way to create on this defense. And you can tell how visibly frustrated they were every single timeout they took. Every single time they went back down and the Thunder just slammed it down because they just keep forcing these turnovers. They keep forcing these bad decisions from players who really don't make mistakes like Scottie Pippen or a Desmond Bain who has a high assist to turnover ratio. It's not like the Memphis Grizzlies are always turning the ball over, right? But they're forcing them into these tough decisions. They're forcing them into ball pressure, forcing them to be uncomfortable. And I think that's the number one thing I want to emphasize. Being uncomfortable is what you need to do in the playoffs. The Thunder today were extremely comfortable on both ends. This was their style of basketball. And I feel like sometimes you can see the Thunder being dictated by the other team. I think you saw it last year in the playoffs. They were playing into Dallas. Dallas was playing this gap-heavy defense. Dallas was running this spread pick and roll where they were getting open free in the corner every single time. Even though the analytics said that's a fine shot for the Thunder, the variance went against them. And obviously Dallas won the series heavily based on both of those factors. But no, the Thunder controlled like the biggest strengths on both sides today. And that's why the Thunder is so dominant in the regular season and why it's going to translate to the playoffs because these teams are not accustomed to this level of ball pressure, this level of switchability on a team. I don't think I've ever seen a defense as in sync, as harmonized as I saw in the first half. Felt like they could not make a mistake. And not only that, they were finishing possessions, which again, Memphis plays double big. And surprisingly, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Zach Edey have a great net rating and a great rebound percentage together. They're plus 13 in their minutes prior to the day. And Memphis is one of the top 3 or 4 rebounding teams in the league. And I don't really remember many extra possessions being created by them. I love that check game. He was so feisty on the boards. He really wanted to go get it. He was guarding Zach Edey for most of the night. And obviously Edey has that physical advantage. I was not worried about him being posted up. But I was a little worried that maybe Edey could create a 3 or 4 extra possessions on the boards because he just completely dominated Golden State the other night on offensive boards. So maybe that could be an issue by putting Hartenstein and Jaren Jackson, is that Chet might struggle on the boards. But no, Chet completely erased that thought immediately. Hartenstein, who was the best matchup for Jaren Jackson because of how much core strength he has, how much size he has, and underrated mobility, also on Hartenstein's part. He's owned Jackson Jr. for the last 3 or 4 matchups. I think he's had some of his worst games. Today I don't even remember him playing offensively, to be honest. I think he was like 2 of 13. He was laughably non-existent for most of the game, and that's in part of Hartenstein not letting him get positioning, not letting him get to his spots, not letting him be comfortable. He's also adding some ball pressure on his side. He's adding some physicality. But yeah, the tandem of Chet and Hartenstein was beautiful today. And on the other end, offensively, I'll talk about that real quickly. Hartenstein was getting a bunch of slip passes from Shea and Jada because they're hard hedging the pick and roll. So he has that little floater, and Edie's playing either the hard hedging or the Edie's playing a deep drop, which means that floater is gonna be available for him. Um, he was making his beautiful reads as usual, but the floater was on point. I think he might have went perfect from the field. I don't have the box score in front of me right now, even though probably should. Um, but I felt like he played a really good floor game. Chet, he had some takes. He had some funny takes. He had that one where I think he blocked a certain player and then just took it in transition to four people. That was funny. But outside of that, he was awesome today offensively. He had some nice finishes. He hit his jump shots. He hit his free throws, which is obviously always an important thing with him. When he's hitting free throws, that means he's probably in good shape. He's probably not playing tired. So that was really good to see. I really love how they guarded on John Moran today. Obviously, one of the best downhill forces in the game. But they really just mixed up the coverages a lot to the point where I don't think Ja could really anticipate what was coming, right? So they went under a lot to begin the game. They started icing some screens. Um, they started peel switching at some points. They started just conceding to switch straight up at points. And Ja just really never felt comfortable. They kind of just built a wall. No matter what, they'll like zone up a bit and really just give Ja a lot of space from that deep 2 point range to 3 point range to create that shot. But otherwise, they're just not getting a shot off. That was basically the goal. Uh, Obviously, he had a few floaters, he had a few shots up, but for the most part, you kept Ja out the game. You kept him out the paint, and that's important not just because of his scoring, his free throw drawing at the rim, his playmaking. He's an extraordinary playmaker off drives, and you completely shut down that form of offense for them, which I love. Blue Door did an awesome job, but I don't think we really need to be surprised by that. That's just Door doing that every single game. Just making it just again uncomfortable will be a big word in this entire playoffs. And Dor makes every single star he plays uncomfortable to a degree. They just do not want to play against him. They don't want to be presented with that level of physicality, that level of pest that Dor brings to the table. So again, beautiful defense on Ja. Great defensive game plan by Mark to really make him uncomfortable, make him feel like he's out the game a bit. Coming off of injury, he's obviously not going to be 100%. And I think they took advantage of that by understanding that he's going to be forced to a lot of shots away from the rim, a lot of floaters, a lot of deep twos or catch or pull up 3 pointers. Like there's a few step backs where we went under, and like he definitely does not have the power right now in his lower body to hit those shots, and they fully took advantage of that. So great job by Mark and the coaching staff for exploiting Ja at this point. I want to praise Ludor also though for the other end. He played a beautiful game offensively, and I think he looks a lot sharper than he did last year. And I know last year he shot very efficiently too. His numbers are pretty similar offensively, but this year he's basically eliminated rim shots. He's only driving with the intention to kick, and that helps sustain a lot of advantages for the team. It stops teams from baiting the ball to Dort because that's what Dallas did in the playoffs. Make sure that Shea, J-Dub tunnel the ball to Dort, and then eventually he takes a rim shot or is out of control trying to bail out the drive. This time, when he knows he wants to drive, then when he knows he wants to pass the entire time, it's looking a lot crisper. He's passing to open guys, and obviously the shooting has been great also. Shooting 40% of the year, had a really good shooting game today. Just awesome stuff by Lou. He's really become one of the best two-way 3-and-D guys in the league, and maybe the best if you want to hone down on the definition of 3-and-D. But it's really impressive. He's setting himself for a big payday. Obviously, we'll have to see how he performs offensively for the rest of the playoffs, but very happy with how he played today. Kind of the elephant in the room is that I'm like a few minutes, like 10 minutes in almost, and like I haven't really talked about Shea. Obviously, the MVP just held to 15 points today. I don't think Memphis did something specifically unique. They iced the screens a lot. They played the gap a bit, but I don't think this is a coverage Shea hasn't seen before. A coverage that Shea's really struggled against. Just felt like he was kind of passive with his passive of decision making, wanted to go a little 3 point heavy. I will say they were conceding the free. They were playing the drive a little heavier on the ball, especially Scottie Pippen, being a smaller guy he is. He kind of has to. He can't really just allow to blow by, or he'll physically get finished on. So I guess that's maybe why he shot a lot of 3 pointers. But he also only played like 20 minutes, right? I'm sure if he plays the latter end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, he probably figures the game out. So it was a weird game. I think it was really good defensively. He had those two blocks on 80, which were just huge help side plays that you don't see MVPs make, right? I mean, you're 6'5" guard, taking the ball away from a 7'4" big, just outstanding stuff. But yeah, it was a weird game for Shea. I don't really know what's up. I'll have to watch back the film later tonight. Probably will tweet something just in general about Shea. Shot was a little off, but obviously it doesn't matter much. I don't think it'll matter for this series. This entire series will just be kind of really just a walkthrough for this team. Hopefully he can get Shea going eventually. I think he'll be fine. Not really worried. He didn't even play that well in the Pels series last year before he went off against Dallas. Just wasn't that aggressive today. It's cool. Um, the other offensive starter, J-Dub, that was one of my favorite games by J-Dub in a long time, really. The creativity on the ball. He had two spin moves where were perfectly timed. They weren't just spin moves just because he was reading the defender's body and he just completely destroyed. I think it was Aldama and Conchar that he destroyed on these two drives. Um, Transition play was awesome. He was really good off the catch. I think Jace mentioned it when we were watching the playback, but he had a lot of intent to pass the ball, to spray the ball out of these drives because he knows that, again, Memphis was kind of playing aggressive on Jadam and Shea, both of them pretty equally. So he had the intention to spray the ball. That's why Dort, Wiggins, and Chet got a lot of open looks for free because they were sustaining those advantages. Really good game from him today. Obviously, playoffs is probably the question for J-Dub at this point, right? For at least most of the fan base. And this is obviously a great way to start it. 20 points in 22 minutes. Felt really good defensively. Again, locked up Desmond Bane. That's as good of a playoff debut you can ask for. Caruso played a really good defensive game. Had some really impactful minutes. Again, just blows up a lot of actions. That's kind of what Caruso does on a game-to-game basis. The offense as a whole just really felt it didn't really feel like a playoff game from that standpoint. It just felt like very vanilla coverages, and maybe that's because Memphis had a quick turnaround. They played this game less than 36 hours after they just played on their elimination game against Dallas on Friday. So maybe that's the reason why you could say they're a bit out of it. But I mean, it just looked way too comfortable for the Thunder all night. They had 145 offensive rating before the fourth quarter today, which is absurd if you want to put it that way. Wiggins was great. He had a lot of garbage time buckets, but even then, before that, he was knocking out all his 3 pointers. He had a few good finishes in transition. Just really good stuff by him. And for the fact that I am mentioning Wiggins, I want to mention something else. It was really interesting how Mark went into today, saying that I'm going to run a 10-man rotation. Um, the rotation, I mean, obviously it's kind of hard to judge because we're playing a blowout game where we control basically from midway second quarter. It was kind of out of hand. So it's kind of hard to look into the rotation, but also I think he was planning to play 10 guys. Shea came in actually later than usual, but that's probably because he played poorly and the second unit was that good. But like they didn't run like a playoff rotation today. It felt very normal. Joe played really good minutes also, hit his shots. And I want to mention something else. Joe has been switched on the jaw so many times in our matchups against them the last 4 to 5 games, including today, especially that game on ESPN in Memphis. I think in March, I believe. He just completely locked up John, multiple switches. He's a really good defender now. I think I've seen enough to say he's a really good defender. And I think this label as just a 3 point shooter, just a microwave guy off the bench. That's not fair. I think Joe's a clear good 3-and-D player now. Um, if they want to attack him, if you want to put him at the point of attack, he's pretty good everywhere. And the fact that he's probably going to be your fourth or fifth best defender in every lineup is insane. I think the only defender worse than him in the rotation is probably going to be either J. Will or Wiggins. And I think at least J. Will has definitely become very solid defensively now. Also interesting that he did still play 2 minutes to end the first quarter with Shea. I think that's kind of his slot to play those end of quarter minutes with Shea because they built so much chemistry in the regular season. But we'll see in the later rounds or more important playoff games if they just run Chen and Hartenstein for all 48 minutes, at least one of them on the floor. That's pretty much it from game one. I mean, just completely dominant, just nothing but really positive things to say. I think game two, you really just kind of want to see Shea get going, be more aggressive, try to break the paint a bit more. But outside of that, I mean, this looks like a dominant series for the Thunder. It's a really good matchup for them. They swept them in the regular season. Um, all of Memphis's big three, Jaren, Ja, Bane, they all have kind of bad matchups in this series. Ja going against Thunder's point of attack, Bane going against our off-ball defense, and J-Dub. And Jaren just sucks against Hardenstein historically. It's been that for 2 or 3 years. He just cannot score against them. So this should be a 4-game series, maybe 5 games. Memphis did have some bad shooting barriers, but I just don't think they got good shots straight up. So I'll do one of these videos every single game. Probably we'll see how far. Definitely for the rest of the playoffs. Let me know your thoughts on the game. Let me know your thoughts on this entire little takeaways, whatever you want to call it. Just did it real quick after watching the game. I watch every single game live on Playback. You guys follow me on Twitter. Nothing else to say. Thunder up 1-0 in the series. I'm out.